We are traveling far and wide as space and time continuum. Hello, everybody. It's your boy Flobo Boyce, and this is Commander's Log, the unofficial Star Trek Post Show. We are on the USS PostShow, hurtling through the future, but I'm not alone. This guy will be riding with me all season long to break down the best parts about Star Trek Discovery and the Star Trek lore because he's an expert. Longtime fan. Give it up for Commander John Weber. How you doing, sir?
I'm good. Thank you for having me, Flobo.
How's the intro? Is the intro okay?
The intro is amazing. Amazing. May I suggest, if you ever want to use me as your Hank Kingsley / Ed McMahon, I'm available.
You are correct, sir.
If you want to be the star who gets introduced, other than being the guy who's just running stuff,
yeah. You can make it happen. I want to give a shout out to everyone watching live on Facebook and YouTube and on Twitch. And if you're on Twitch, please hit the like and subscribe. Star Trek Discovery was my introduction to Star Trek. I am still a newbie when it comes to Star Trek lore. I do have some seasons of TNG and DS9 and Lower Decks to my credit, which totally came in handy because I know what an Orion is. You
nailed it.
But you are a lifelong fan. Is that true?
That is true. I mean, I started watching when I was a really little kid in the 70s, so that's how old I am. I'm a very old man. But, yeah, that was our treat. We would watch that show and then go to bed right after. So for like a year there, I watched the original Trek about, 6-7 years after it originally aired, I think.
Yeah, and do you have a favorite? This is top of the top favorite captain, favorite series at all?
Well, a lot of times it will change. I am a big Sisko fan. I just love what he brought to the role, just all this tension and this sort of like theatrical solidness. But of course, I was a huge Picard fan.
Okay.
Just one of the greats. I love them all. I got to say, although based on what I've seen so far, Captain Pike.
Oh yeah. Captain
Pike, nailing it.
Strange New Worlds is gonna be. We should do that show later. But this is about Star Trek Discovery, man. Episode 1 of season 3. The Hope Is You Part 1, a 2-part episode. This episode was a biggin at 53 minutes. Hey, give me more Star Trek. I'm fine with that. Now, before we slice and dice and talk about everything nice, I want your overall thoughts, man. I mean, it's been a long time. We went through a pandemic to see this edition of Star Trek Discovery. Just what you're feeling over going in.
Well, it's interesting because I think when we and my family got CBS All Access, it was right after the second season had debuted. And so we watched it at our own pace, and we weren't going episode by episode, which now, of course, we're doing. And it's hard not to be able to binge.
Yeah. Every Thursday night or Friday morning or Thursday morning or whatever.
Yeah. And you're so much better than me because I watched mine this afternoon, just like a couple hours ago, which was so funny because I'm like, I can't believe I finally have homework I want, which is watch Star Trek Discovery, and I'm still finding things to do before I sit down and watch it. But I did watch it, and oh my gosh, just overall,
yeah,
what an incredibly emotional show.
Yeah,
I won't lie to you. I was crying by the end. Just these tears coming down. Like, well, who are you? What are you doing? And here's the thing. I'm gonna be completely honest about my fears going into season 3. I was so worried that this was going to be like, and I don't mean to be mean. I know a lot of people love it.
You beat me, John Weber.
Star Trek Voyager. Which pretty much said, okay, here's a whole different way of looking at a ship. Here's half the crew is traditional Federation, half the crew is Maquis, so they're like, rebels in a way. And now they're in a whole new place, Delta Quadrant, right?
Yeah.
I got there. I may have to look that up. Delta.
I think Delta. It sounds legit to me.
And they're flying through, and every ship that shoots at them can like blow holes in their ship. And they're low on energy. And it was basically like, what if Star Trek was poor?
The hood? That's Star Trek. I love it.
What if they were broke?
Yeah.
And hey, as we've discussed previously, I was on the original version of Homeboys in Outer Space. I know how that show goes. And it wasn't. I was so afraid that we were going to be in this place of not having what we love about Star Trek. And what I love about Star Trek is I love the Federation.
Yeah.
I love going out there. I love I love the space. I love the exploration. I also love the sort of politics behind it, kind of the anthropological stuff that they do, the mysteries they would solve. I didn't want to be instantly taken out of that into a dystopian future. And I knew that was coming up because the picture that they were using for their ad shows them all wearing dark clothing.
Right.
And they're wearing like those Benedict Cumberbatch con jackets. They're wearing those long, depressed. Yeah. They're all dressed in dark colors. And I didn't know how it was going to happen, but I knew it was going to happen. And here we were. She goes to the future.
Yeah.
And it's all different. 930 years in the future, it's all different.
Just want to real quick. We'll thank everyone here on Twitter just interacting with us. Jake Giles, Grant, Saint Sleep, James Lott Jr. Thank you so much for being on the inaugural episode of Commander's Log. Let me know what you think about the show, and if you wanted to see more of us talking about Star Trek Discovery. But you know what? Overall thoughts for me, man. Like, I was worried because I'm a new fan to Star Trek. Discovery was what opened me up to this whole thing. I'm actually, I don't know if you can tell, I'm actually a Green Lantern fan. You can tell
Green Lantern.
My custom pop. Shout out to the House of Mac. And so a lot of things about the Green Lantern mythos I do like about Star Trek. The Federation and Starfleet's for like the guardians of the universe, and the politics, the sectors, and policing those sectors. So the first season to me was like, it blew my mind. And the second season, I felt like there was a little bit of fan service there to put the tendrils between what was considered canon before and what's canon now. And so I was too afraid about this. I was like, man, I don't want this to be like, okay, take down the view screens. We're in the future now.
Yeah.
But I not only was impressed, I thought it was so smart to not reunite the crew with Michael Burnham so far. Have this 1 hour of being like, what does the U world looks like? It isn't night and day. There's some progression, there's some good things, but there's like, what's the burn? How is the Gorn involved? Wait, the Orions, the Andorians are together. So many questions.
Yeah. And what was really great, just from a TV standpoint, was so this is season 3. Traditionally in Star Trek, as we get to like season 3, we start to break down into following crew members a bit. That's kind of the old way of doing it, you know? Right. This is the episode about Riker's father. This is the episode about Worf's father. It's mostly about fathers. That's just Next Generation. It's 1990s. They're just trying to work through all their father crap. I get it.
Deep.
But what was great about this episode is you've got Burnham on her own. And we have seen her on her own a bit, and that's a great thing about this character. She's very independent, and she's really she's not a captain. She's a fighter, you know? Right. She doesn't sit on a chair and make decisions as much as she's up, with her fists up, ready to fight. I love that about this character. Yeah. What I also love was, and I'm still learning the names of the actors. Sonequa Martin Green She did some acting in this one, man.
Yeah.
She was upset. She was injured. She was deceptive. At one point, they give her that drug to make her talk, and she's high as a kite.
She turned to Will Smith. It was dope. I'm Mike Larry. This is what happened. I saw it. It was great, man. It was awesome.
It was so great. And that's actually what you want to do when you write for TV. I have never written for that kind of TV in my life. But when you write for TV like that, you want to give people a chance to play a range. And since she's the only Star Trek character that we have on this, we're meeting new people, obviously, but they gave her range, and I love that. They really did a great job making it personal.
Yeah.
And putting the humanity in it, which is Star Trek.
True. Yeah, it is funny how this whole season, this episode is all about hope, right? A lot of long-term fans have told me that they don't like Discovery because there's no optimism. But like the whole thing is hope has slapped you in the face like Molly, that translucent slug. There's a moment about humanity of Michael Burnham when she is just trying to piece together what happened. I was on the trail behind Book, which we'll get to in a minute later. And there's a point where she tries to cry, and the Vulcan side is like, nope. You got to not do that, girlfriend. And I thought that was such a awesome character moment for Burnham, because I always wondered in season 2, in meeting Spock, and he was actually a Vulcan, she showed more of a human side. Will she go back to her Vulcan training? And so
I wondered about that too. Yeah, and it's not important, you know. I mean, like, she understands at this point that she needs to rebuild everything. She feels the weight. She does not have contact with her family, but still, you know, like, honestly, I felt like this was the most emotional episode. And we've had crazy emotional episodes, but because this was so much the woman who was raised by Vulcans, who has the sense of science and logic, but still is just a raw, stripped down person in this bleak future. And that really turned out to be more interesting than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. Just jumping ahead a bit, your thoughts about Adi Sahi, because it starts with him almost, you know, getting up every morning, like this that holographic bird, which really tripped me out for a second. Like, I thought it was a real bird.
Wasn't that awesome?
It was, but like this thing about this idea that Starfleet is gone for what we know. Yeah. And you have this guy who's guarding the empty watchtower every day, you know, looking fresh to death, just sitting there at a desk, just waiting. Like, I can't do that. I can't wait in a line to vote. I mailed my ballot in. You know what I'm saying? Like, this guy waited 40 years for someone to show up. That's crazy.
You know what it reminded me of? I don't know if we've ever talked about this in terms of, did you ever watch the show Lost?
Oh, the first 2 seasons, and I was like, oh.
Oh, well, I think you missed the one that starts exactly like that. Dude wakes up, you know, puts on a record, goes about his day, presses some buttons, goes to bed, wakes up, puts on a record. It reminded me so much of when we meet, I think it's Dominic? No, what's the dude's name? But anyway, there's a guy in Lost who's inside this vault that they've been trying to get into. And we see that same thing. I thought that was so funny that they were so similar.
Yeah. How long would you go before you're like, I'm gonna get a job at Enterprise? Like, or is there Starbucks in space? Like,
have you seen my office? Like, I can't focus on anything. I do love that he has that Wakanda technology, though, that makes the bed go away and then builds the desk.
Yeah, it's all vibranium. There's no lithium in the future, but it's definitely vibranium. We've crossed the trees, man.
Dude, there is a lot of Wakanda in the future, and I'm cool with that. I love Wakanda.
Even the view screens, too, had a little bit of a Wakanda vibe to them. But before we get to that, I just want to say thank you so much for checking out Commander's Log. It's the first one, the inaugural voyage, brought to you by the people over at Geek Renaissance. Geek Renaissance has dope things for holidays, for even yourself. If you want to get yourself fresh, suited, and booty with a little bit of nerd culture, check out Geek Renaissance on Instagram. Get yourself something. Say Flobito sent you, and say it's all good stuff. Shout out to those people at Geek Renaissance making this show possible. Now, the other side of things. What's that, John?
Oh, I was about to say, Christmas is coming up. You want to get over there, check out some of those gifts. I mean, you know how the mail can be. You want to start ordering now.
Oh, yeah, man. Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, New Year's, Yuletide, winter solstice. I got you. Renaissance, man.
Yeah, maybe I should just go gift-giving season. Super PC, like, gift-giving season is coming up.
I mean, we just had Prime Day yesterday, so it's only a matter of time before the whole year. It's all...
Dude, what a waste that was, too, man. I couldn't find anything good.
I fell for it. I bought so much stuff.
Did you get a couple things?
I'm thinking about building a second studio in my apartment because I can't be here all the time. So I'm like, what can I do that's very cheap and like really cool and effective? So I want all the electronics. I kept them in business. It was me, Jeff Bezos. It was me.
You owe Flobo, Bezos.
He's like,
send him a drone for goodness sake.
Who's that? Let's talk about our other character we introduced today, Cleveland Book, as we call him, a man about a mission. What about shifting alliances a bit, right? You didn't know if he was good or bad or whatever. A man with his own agenda. It looks like he's going to be a little bit of a love interest later on, as part of the previews, the end of this episode. But there's thoughts about him as a character as a whole here in the first episode.
You know, it was interesting because, he did seem, okay, I'm possibly a total asshole about that.
Oh, wait, possibly a total? What is that even? I will perhaps maybe quasi.
Okay. Here's the problem. When he was being mean, I kept expecting him to turn around to her and go, "Welcome to the Caribbean, love."
Oh,
because I was getting Jack Sparrow up and down from him.
Yeah,
pirate all on his own, just
why is the rum gone? Yeah.
I was getting all of these vibes, these storytelling vibes of, this guy's a rogue. Of course, we find out that that's not 100% true. That's only the surface, and that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
I like the actor a great deal.
Kind of took off his shirt the first episode, gave me a bit of a complex.
Dude,
I don't know how I feel about that.
You can't
have curves.
David, do I say the J? Ajala?
Okay.
David, I'll have to look that up. But what's really cool is I saw one of these making of clips, and apparently he was in a play in London, RSC, Royal Shakespeare Company, with Patrick Stewart. Patrick Stewart said, "Oh, by all means, you must go and be part of the Trek universe." And,
that was cool.
You don't get a better recommendation than that.
Yeah.
Honestly. So,
it's wondering, though, like, going for it, because, Sir Patrick Stewart said, yes, I have to be there. But.
Well, seriously, we've come so far in pop culture. When I was a kid, if you watch Star Trek, and granted, this is 70s, 80s, you were a nerd, you were smelly, no one liked you, you were a joke. It's
all true now, but now it's cool. But
really cool people also feel that way.
Yeah.
So, like, the nerds and the cool people have finally come together. And I consider myself a really cool nerd.
Yeah, hell yeah.
So that's where I am. It's that Mick Foley thing where he's like, I realize I'm never going to be cool. And that's pretty cool.
It's true. I've only became popular in high school when I stopped trying to be popular. And it was kind of like, who's that guy who doesn't care what we think about him? What's like him? It was the most weirdest thing on the planet. Too cool for school, quite literally. But no, I agree with you, man.
Yeah, when you're entertaining, you can do these things. You could be into this stuff. I don't feel any sort of negativity about being a fan anymore. And it's stuff like this. It's a show like this, good actors, really good actors, good TV. You don't have to love sci-fi to love this show. Although I can't imagine you wouldn't. Well,
that's a lot of it. Comes from Cleveland Booker, because on his journey, we know that he's trying to, like, protect Molly before she's captured or whatever. But on his journey, there is action, there is suspense. There's a bunch of science fiction, and there's the inklings, the seedlings for romance. Now, this is definitely Michael Burnham's story. She's in this new world, but Cleveland is kind of like the through line. He is like here's a spine of what the future looks like, because really bad sci-fi always has the silver jumpsuit and flying cars and call it a day. But how do you do the future of the future? You know what I mean? And keep humanity there. So
yeah, and it's interesting too, because Star Trek has resisted in the past, and that's not true of Discovery, but generally in the past, Star Trek has resisted showing us the things that happen outside of the Federation. If you think about the Pirates of Orion and how infrequently they showed up in the first two series.
Yeah.
And now it's much more like, oh yeah, Orions are just a thing, just like Andorians are. They exist. They're part of the universe. They're everywhere in their own way. That's good. So I like this. I like where we are in terms of the Federation being a faded thing.
Okay. But why so?
Well,
why? What about it? Yeah.
Because what they've done in the past with the Federation is said it's just still. It doesn't change that much. Picard shakes that up a little bit. Discovery is shaking that up. One thing you can say about Voyager is they tried to show you how you can be the Federation's, people. You can represent it in your small community, even though you're not part of the larger, gigantic body. Now, on Discovery, we're just seeing a universe that outgrew Federation. And, of course, there's a reason why the Federation's not around. which is the burn.
Let's talk about it. The burn. And dilithium, man. Well, again, this is all new to me. So, like, it just seemed like there was this power source in dilithium, and apparently it
very traditional.
Very old school.
Old science.
Yeah. And it now, because of the burn and the fallout, I guess, will ripple throughout this entire world and series. It's almost become currency. It's become currency for people to score more, to get more. You needed to power your ships. Like what's that mean now? Like, what is the motivating factor when the big bad boogeyman of the Federation isn't there?
It's interesting because now we are in that thing that I was complaining about with Voyager, which is now we're all poor.
It's Waterworld, baby.
It's Waterworld. Oh my gosh. See, I was headed towards gasoline in the Mad Max universe.
Oh, okay, yeah, that works.
But you got me there with Waterworld. Yeah. Even better. And hey, there's a sort of lawlessness. There's a sort of, the strong survive, kind of the things that the Federation was always intended to dismantle. Yeah. These sort of bullyocracies that are going to run how things are done. But I'm given so much hope at the end of the episode that there are little pockets of Federation. And now I can tie it back to Mandalorian. Okay. Now it's a creed. It's a belief system.
Oh.
So yeah, the Federation, if you want to be in the Federation, I can't get you a ship. I can't get you uniforms. I can't provide any of these things. But if you want to be Federation, there's Michael Burnham at the very end going, I'll commission you.
Yeah. And
just like Ash ends up being the one Section 31 guy left, right? Well, there's the Terran captain as well.
Sure.
But pretty much he's all that's left now. Right now, she's all that's left of the Federation, except for these little pockets of people who carry on a tradition.
Yeah,
it's passed down.
This again, I have to draw parallels here because I am a giant Green Lantern mark. This reminds me of like Emerald Twilight when Hal Jordan went evil and then leveled Coast City. They tried to rebuild Coast City in his image, and he went crazy, and the core was decimated. And for a lot of people, myself included, my first introduction to the Green Lantern mythos was Kyle Rayner. He was the sole Green Lantern because everything was so. Not only was he a lowly artist, an early Earthman artist, he had to instill the values of this entire philosophy. But he had been so removed of what happened, he does not know what that philosophy is. So here is Michael Burnham, who was really mistreated by the system. I mean, yeah, she got charged for insurrection, but they went kind of hard on her. You know what I'm saying? But now,
she's paid some dues.
Yeah, she paid some dues, but now. If of course things might be revealed later on, but now all that you know is gone, and you rose a flag, and you're the sole speaker of this language that no longer exists. I mean, do you be evil and try to make it in your image? Try to go back to the ideals? Like, I don't know, man. The possibilities are endless there.
Yeah, and what's look, I don't know, man. We're getting so many great comments. I don't know how many people are feeling about this the way I was feeling. And I thought I was the only person who thought this. I'm in a couple of Star Trek groups on Facebook, and actually,
thank you for the invite.
Oh, dude, I don't know if you want to be in Star Trek shit posting. I don't know if you want to be part of that. I'm pretty much going to leave that group.
It would be nice to be invited.
I'll work it out for you. You can make up your own mind if you want to be in that Federation. But here's the thing. Do you remember Gene Roddenberry's Andromeda?
Yeah, people complain about this being Andromeda, for sure.
I mean, the relationship
I'll do you one better. I hate to cut you off. I'll do you one better. No. I didn't watch Star Trek, but as a kid, when it came to Gene Roddenberry, Andromeda and Earth Final Conflict were the only shows I knew Gene Roddenberry ever created. But as you were saying. That's what you were saying.
Honestly, it's not a terrible place to start because he liked to use the same kind of building blocks and he liked to scramble things around. So, he came up with this idea. It's kind of funny that for the third season, they decide, well, they want to get out of continuity. And I totally understand that. I think we can all go, okay, you were right to do that.
Right.
Make your own continuity, make your own canon. But to get to there were a bunch of space knights and they made everything really great. And then a terrible thing happens and one of them, is woken up on his ship and now none of them exist anywhere. And he has to bring back this chivalry in space. And, I was going like, no, it feels like it until the last 10 minutes.
Go on.
And then I went, oh, this doesn't feel like Andromeda at all. This feels emotional.
What was the moment that made you go, this is a zone deal?
It's when she meets it's Mr., right? Mr. Sahi.
Yeah, Mr. Sahi. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, when she meets him and he explains his story and that he has stuck with it. It's not Andromeda, because in Andromeda, everyone's bad. And the whole idea of being good is like, well, why would you do that?
I mean, it's a fair philosophy, if you're being honest.
I mean, it's 2020. Yeah, we're kind of drowning in that right now, aren't we?
Yeah.
But for her to meet someone who is a keeper of the flame, that's really sweet.
Yeah.
That's really important. And for her to be able to give to him, like, oh, well, I represent the Federation, and I tell you what, you're a good guy. Good for you. Yeah. Now, granted, I was like, wow, that trust came really fast.
True. Now, the reason why I pressed you on that, because I had very similar vibes. I enjoy the entire episode, and I love the caper, or the heist, I guess, the reverse heist. I don't know what you describe that on a structural level. Yeah. But like you, cool. I realized the story was bigger than itself in that same scene. And it was quite the moment where Burnham looked at Book, and he's like, that's the guy I'm telling you about. And she goes over and like rattles off her serial number. And it's like, oh, this is real. This is like I'm teaching you my life. Someone understands me. I'm not just this nut job. And because Burnham has had this delayed gratification of telling people who she was all hour, it was like, finally, someone gets the entire thing. And it was just, it gave me the goosebumps, man, which is really weird because she was saying numbers, right? But it was like, oh, wow,
Dude, I'm sitting there and my big, fat, well-fed face is just drowning under these tears, just coming down my face, because I believe in the Federation. I believe in the mission. I believe in unity. These are all things that are so real. And that's why we're Star Trek fans, because that stuff means something to us.
Yeah.
Crying like a baby, dude. I mean, I never got to the like, but it was just like, you cut it out. Why are you doing this?
It's funny because again, I the stuff I hear is saying the first shows are so negative, but that moment of having the flag flown, even though I couldn't pick a Federation flag out of a lineup until today. Now I can. I was like, oh my goodness, this is like starting a brand new nation. It's like you're a missionary, but you were displaced. You're like Captain America, but you're not. All of it was it just hit home for me. I thought it was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean, what if you were a person who, and I know Flobo, Ashley, I know you, and I know you are a person who believes in doing the right thing and chivalry and kindness and and strength. Strength protects weak. Like you believe in these things, and a lot of that is because you believe in superheroes. You believe in power doing the right thing, and here we are. We're setting up for that. If you believed in all those things and then Sir Lancelot like came alive and was like right in front of you and he was like, you know what? I want you to be one of the Knights of the Round Table. You would cry like a baby.
Oh man, that'd be a dope movie. It's Flobo and Black Knight 2.
We can make it. We can make that because there's a franchise and I don't think Burton Lawrence wants to do it again. That could happen.
I'll take it. Netflix original. No, I think you're right. There is a lot of salsa taking superheroes, and I don't want to get too far in on that track, but we look at what people find inspiration from, and you look at Superman, which is one of the most boring or overlooked superheroes, but he was always just about fairness and justice. You know what I'm saying? Like when Lois fell out of a window, it was never like, what caused her to do that? She should know better. I'm going through my article. No, it was like, let me save her first and figure out why later. And I think we lose a lot of that in our media now. We think Superman's boring. Our heroes now are edgy and all that stuff. But to watch almost like a rose grow from concrete. In that room there, it was like, no one can tell me that there's no optimism in Star Trek Discovery, because that was it in spades, man. That really was moving for me.
So much. It's the blood running through the veins.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And Book is really a nice guy now, and that turned around a little fast, but it makes sense. I believe it.
Yeah, that scoundrel, that rapscallion. Before I actually get more of the Booker, just a quick question. Does it bother you, or did you mind the Andorians and Orion working together? Or it's kind of like it's the future?
I've always loved that stuff. I've always loved, like, I will probably always feel this way. The last half of DS9 was my favorite Star Trek.
I haven't got there yet.
Oh, it's so great. The Ronald D. Moore years.
I just finished the riot episode when the Cisco goes back and it prevents the riot in the sanctuary. That's where I'm at.
Very important. Very important to see that episode too. And I'm just like, I'm all over, like, take the pieces we know, scramble them around a little bit, and show us something new that way. And so the fact that you've got these two very aggressive, kind of negative cultures, we'll say, because, that's the other thing with Star Trek. They're just like, this race is always like that. Like, that's racism, bro. You probably should maybe say like culture or something.
Yeah, it's
Andorians are a terrible race. Oh.
All right, let's keep killing. Am I right? Am I right? The Seinfeld theme played. That's what it looked like. It looked like a case they're together and they're just hanging out, working together. But I was on for the ride.
It's a mercenary culture at this point. So, the cultures that are very good about being mercenary are going to do well. And I'm sure a lot of cultures are just locked in and they're just like, all right, we're not going to go out there anymore. The Tholians are probably still around, but they're not mixing it up with anybody. Stuff like, and we'll see how this future is situated. I'm a little more excited now than I ever thought I could be.
Oh, that's great to hear.
About a future. Because I like exploring, and we'll do that in Picard, but, exploring kind of the holes in the Federation. That's always interesting to me.
Yeah, because the Federation means well, but never turns out that way.
Oh, I mean, look, good intentions are always paving the road to hell. That's always happening. Not every good intention, but, and I always love good excuses to go back and watch old episodes. At one point, we find out in like the last season of TNG, Next Generation, we find out that warp travel actually hurts space. It creates damage to space. So to come up with the burn, that's kind of canon. The use of and misuse of resources is a theme in Star Trek. So we're still very much in Star Trek kind of rules. And I love that. I dig that.
I just want to give a shout out to Jake Giles. Just two things. First up, he says it makes sense that the Orion are working together with the Andoria because they're not too far from each other. And he also agrees with you with your theory on the burn. You think that's kind of like a misuse of resources where space is like, weird environment too.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, environment is a big thing, and that's actually one of the great things about Book. Book is a guy of nature. He connects nature with what we call humanity, which is just like binary beings who, two-legged, what am I looking for? It's like humanoids. One of the things that's so funny about like Rick and Morty is you find out anything can be a life form. And that's true. Anything could be a life form.
Yeah.
Not everything is just, hey, we're just people with things on our foreheads.
Right.
Which for many years.
For a second there, I thought that's what Burnham saw was like that bug that ate that flower. And I was like, Duro, don't get that excited. He was like, life form. That's the only thing that's around, lady. Like, what are you doing?
It's so funny you bring that up. Yeah, no, because have you watched Picard yet?
Yes, I watched Picard. Yeah. Yep.
So the blue butterflies that are on Dr. Soong's planet there.
Yeah.
That kind of made me think of that. It was like, because they're so beautiful and he created them, but we see this blue insect and
It's like doggy dog
Welcome to the
world.
future.
Right, exactly. All that optimism, exit left.
Yeah, exactly.
So this kind of like we seal the sanctuary of book, and it looks like it's going to be a temporary home base, if not like unhome base, but until Burnham gets contact with the ship. Which, spoiler alert, the end credits show you do. You know.
Yeah.
What's that look like for you week to week, man? Is Book going to be somebody? I guess going to predictions now. Is Book going to be somebody that's going to hang around with your adventures? Are they going to go their own way? Is it another Ash situation where they're going to be together, but turns out they're evil and they're star-crossed lovers? So what do you think?
You know, I gotta go with that because that's how you do series TV. You set up a relationship, and almost every relationship on series TV is gonna end. Sometimes they start up again later, but yeah, I mean, look how many times Riker and Deanna Troi, they were together, they weren't together, they might be, they weren't, they started turning young on on this planet. And they get together, and then they're married, and they've got their second kid, and it's interesting. And no relationship stays in one place in the Star Trek universe. So I don't know how long Book's around. Definitely season 3.
Okay.
I don't think we'll lose him. I don't think we'll lose him before the season finale.
Okay, yeah, for sure. And just, I guess, another prediction I have for you. And if you have more, let me know. When do you think, at what point does Burnham meet with the crew? You think in the beginning of episode 2? You think at the end of episode 2, episode 3? Where do you tell that?
Let me ask you how you think about these things, Flobo. Do you think, because you're a writer, how do you think? Do you think in terms of writing, like storytelling? Mm-hmm. Because unfortunately, I think of that a lot. Here's an example.
You mean in general?
Well, yeah, look, the third act is going to have, this conflict and this thing.
God,
I mean, that's how a writer thinks,
No, I try not to, because this is going to, and again, if I'm being a nerd, for those of you who don't know, I have a film degree, so I have all the formats in my brain. Most television shows have a 4-act structure, right? And so if you notice in a cop show, when the story is pretty much on fumes, but they don't want to arrest a guy yet, it's a chase scene. In third act, that's usually why it's there. No, I don't think of it that way because this medium's always changing. Like, you can write a teleplay and it could be, it's Netflix, no commercials, and it's a little different than being we need hard act breaks, or it's going to be no commercials in America, hard act breaks in Europe. Yeah, right. No, I like to think of it as character first, and then put the character in the situation. I'm that way with professional wrestling. Like, for example, on Wednesday Night Wrestling, for those who watch, there's NXT and there's AEW. I like NXT's characters more, so I prefer NXT, but I think AEW has better storylines. That's also important. So when it comes to this, I think character first. I like Michael Burnham being out of her element, her grappling with both sides of the Vulcan thing. I want to see more of that, but the show is not called Michael Burnham going through stuff. It's called Social Discovery. That ship has to show up at some point. When do you think it's going to happen?
Honestly, I think we're either at the end of season 3, episode 2, or at the end of the 3rd episode. The way they like to reveal things, this is just me observing their writers and what their, showrunners tend to like. I think we're really close. Really close. We're probably going to do a little more excavating, a little more discovering some things that are left over from...
You said it!
What's that?
That's the word. That's cool. I said
discovery, did it?
Yeah, I'm all for it. I know it depends. If it was like a 22 episode show, you can stretch it out forever. But we only have 13 here, a little longer than Picard, but you don't want to stretch it out too much. And
see, now that's something I hadn't looked at. We only have 13 in this season. Interesting. Yeah. And do you think that was because of COVID? Which I
think the first 2 seasons were like 15 and 13, or 15 and 14 and 13. So like it's par for the course. Maybe an episode didn't get it. We don't know if the last episode is going to be like heavily cut or a flashback. I wouldn't be surprised if there was like, remember that time in TNG where like Riker was out for an episode when it was all flashback and clips.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's going to be like a episode like that just to fill out the season. It was a weird one too, by the way. Right. I don't know. I have no idea.
What they could do is they could always do the trial, like they did with Captain Pike.
They
for
did that in
menagerie.
Lower Decks too. You're like, what? Why are they
Did
doing
they
this?
really?
Yeah, they did the whole trial episode. It was like, oh, it's a Star Trek thing. I get it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it reminds me of the cartoon of oh my God, Clerks. Do you remember?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I
cartoon
did a
Clerks?
review for that. That show was amazing. And when Randall was on trial, and it was like, I know how it is with your welfare checks, and all the jurors were black, so they were all upset.
My
It was a tough
client's like
time.
you. He likes orange soda.
It was a weird time, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. So Book is an animal guy. I gotta put over this. Maybe the breakout character. This might be the child of Discovery. Grudge the cat.
Oh
Thoughts
yeah.
on
Oh
furry
yeah.
friends in the future.
I love the little clip where they show Tilly picking up this again. I think Maine Coon cat. I think so big, this cat. And she's like, I'm not a cat person. And the cat starts walking on her back, which is real. Like cats do that.
I would know. I'm allergic to them.
Are you really? Oh,
Yeah,
you're
I'm
missing
allergic.
out, man.
I'm afraid of dogs and allergic to cats.
Oh, you are so missing out. I'm sorry. I got to derail the show for this.
I have a soul. It's cool.
Are there living things that you like?
I was thinking of turtles, but I don't own one.
Turtles are cool.
I like lizards. They're fun. You know what I mean? Like, but that's because my parents are West Indian, so we see them hanging out, chilling out, eating flies and mosquitoes. So they went to work for you. You know what I'm saying?
That's funny.
But dogs freak me out. Like, I guess I'm an alien here. This is where I come out and say I'm actually some sort of like alien race there. But like, who was the first person like, hey, you see that wild beast? Bring it inside. And we're gonna give it food? No, we give it bits of food and round shaped pebbles. It's like, I don't understand.
It's so natural. It's so look. You know me. I live on a farm. I got this farm out here. You use these animals to catch the pests, to keep them out of your food and keep them out of your storage. And so cats eat mice and dogs chase away everything. And if you've got a husky like I do, they literally kill anything. They are the Klingon of dogs.
All hail to Kufma. That's awesome. I just couldn't do it. Like, that'd be my fear factor. It's like, oh, Flobo, you ate 85 million bugs. Can you hold this puppy? I'm out.
So we got some bearded dragons. Nobody's more surprised than me. One of these guys wandered out from outside into my office one day. If I ever catch another one, he's yours.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that. I'll get a cage for it. So we're one episode in of Star Trek Discovery. If you have, do you rate shows? Do you stars, ratings? Just like, what's your take on it? Even though we said overall thoughts, you enjoyed it more, but like on a hard rating.
Yeah, that's a good question. Okay, so do you want to do the Bret Hart?
9 stars.
And Hart, out of 10 stars. Where he gives everybody 4 out of 10 because he's such a hater.
Yeah, Bret Hart is pretty salty in his old age.
Yeah, he is. I gotta say, this one is still this one is getting an A- from me. Okay,
we're doing letters. Okay,
let's do letters. Let's switch over to letters because I gotta say, as art goes, this was a story that I would not have liked if it was different characters in a different kind of setup.
Sure.
And so I'm seeing those like Pirates of the Caribbean kind of relationship things, and I'm still going, yeah, but it's still better.
Yeah, absolutely.
How you feeling?
I guess I'll give it a classic because there's something almost very tempting to give us the movie episode. Something very tempting to give us the dog fight in space and war. The first scene had a bit of butts about that, but it ultimately was Fern Gully, which you may laugh and scoff at, but that gives a chance for us to waste some time to learn how Byrne was death into things. So very masterstroke way to give us a smaller adventure, almost like Avatar, right? Everyone says Avatar wasn't great, but if I'm paying $1 billion for a movie, I'm not going to try something crazy. I'm going to try use something very basic so you show up. So I give it an A. I mean, you can't do that again next week. I think next week will have to be something different, the flavor of the future, but it hit all the marks for me for sure.
Yeah, I think we're going to get more of a mixture now of inside and outside, So you got Oh, come on now. Cats are great too. It's not mutually exclusive. They're not, okay. I was about to say they're not two sides of the same coin. No, they totally are, actually.
Yeah, totally different. Yeah, they're way different.
No, I respect that. But like there was so much, and I guess J.J. Abrams has done this a lot too. He's like, I'm going to get you on a planet. I'm going to get some aerial photography. You're just going to see the most beautiful vistas. I mean, where were they shooting this, do you think?
I have no idea. It was way too rocky. I was thinking Oceania somewhere, maybe like New Zealand or Australia. I'll look that up. I don't know for sure. But in the show, it was called EMA. And I was like, EMA tourism board must be on fire right now because it looked majestic. It looked fantastic.
Gorgeous. And they really made a lot of use of it. Yeah. I respected that. And
shout out to Molly the Transform. She got a little bit of a time to shine there. Well, it's about time to get out of here, John Weber. I mean, that's it. Our first voyage in the USS PostShow. Any kind of final words or final thoughts for fans out there? Our millions of fans out there?
I'll tell you what. Visit me on Twitter. I wasn't able to put up anything today, but this job, and thank you so much for hiring me. For your ship.
You're not getting paid.
I'm an old salt. Not a lot of captains would take a chance on me.
I love that. Bring that back next week.
My Romulan ale. But yeah, I want to kind of explore the fact that in order to have this, you obviously have CBS All Access, and there is some strange stuff on that channel. So I'm going to be putting up a video tomorrow of my recommendation for other things you can watch on CBS All Access.
And it's going to be on your Twitter?
It's going to be on my Twitter. You'll find it through my Twitter. It'll be on my, you can find me on Facebook too, though I don't know if I'll friend you if you're mean to my mom.
So do I just unfollow myself then? I don't know. For the other captain, John Weber, it's your boy Flobo. I'm available all over social media at Flobo Boys. It's just Commander's Log, brought to you by Geek Renaissance. Follow Geek Renaissance on Instagram. Get yourself something cool for the holidays or for your loved one or for yourself. That kind of swag. We'll be back here next week talking Star Trek Discovery. My heart is in space in the future. Hopefully Michael Burnham gets a dope fashion upgrade because those future coats is not my thing, boo-boo.
No.
Until next time, follow me on Twitch as well. Twitch.tv